Well, beautiful people, best damn nation. It is Wednesday, and you know what time it is. It is the best damn wrestling podcast. I am your humble host, Brown Renegade, and with me, I have the best damn crew. First of all, I got the chef of all chefs. He is a baking aficionado. We call him Senor Fuego, the one and only Chef. Showtime is in the building. What's happening, Chef?
What's good? What's good? How you fellas doing today?
Oh, man, we good, brother. Blessed and highly favored, as the old folks would say. Oh, man, listen. We have one of the best grapplers in wrestling. This man is a boxer. This man is a professional wrestler. This man is a whoop-ass specialist. He's the green-eyed bandit. He's your mama's favorite wrestler. And he can whoop your daddy ass, Mr. Everything, Victor Andrews.
You know his mic is muted. There
you go. Say it again, Mr. Everything. Go ahead.
And I don't fight for free.
And I don't fight for free. We fight for munties around this box. Munties. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a best damn alum here in the building. He is the king of the meat freaks, the mushroom madman, the psychedelic sweetheart, the one and only Stephen Meeks is in the building.
How are y'all doing? How's everybody? I love y'all so big.
Wait. Hold on. This ain't the Stephen Meeks that we know. Stephen Meeks that we know is full of love and energy and joy and power and extreme. Listen, we know
Come on,
Stephen Meeks. Here's what we want. Here's what we're looking for. Give us Stephen Meeks. Renegade. What? One more time for us, baby.
There's a hug.
Oh, man.
A virtual hug for the world. Oh, man. But, yeah, that's fun.
The Hug Master is here. Oh, man. Spreading love, peace, and hair grease. You know what I'm saying to you, man. Say that again. Go ahead.
Just loving people through wrestling, man. Just trying to make it through the holidays without putting too much weight on, trying to stay looking fresh in my skivvies, that I'll be performing in, and all that good stuff, trying to stay healthy, man. Trying to stay in his word and just keep remember the reason for the season and all that good stuff, and yeah.
Oh, man. The Meek Master has spoken.
Yeah.
Beautiful people. Oh, man. Drop some love down in the comment box. Show some love. Welcome, Best Damn Nation. If you guys are listening to us online on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, thank you for watching us. If you're listening to us in Radio Land on Spotify, Amazon Music, Pandora, wherever you get your wrestling content, you can check out the fellas at the Best Damn Wrestling Podcast and see what we got going. Let's go around the room real quick, check on everybody. Oh, man. Chef Showtime, what's been going on with you, my brother?
Oh.
Unmute yourself, Chef. What's wrong?
You got to unmute yourself, Chef.
Let's hit Victor. I think Chef is.
Yeah, then we'll come back around. Victor Andrews, what's happening, my brother?
Nothing much, man. Nothing much. Got some big things happening in 2024 already. So I'm ready to, see what this new year's going to do for us, man. I mean, I'm excited. You excited? I'm excited.
I'm excited, man. You told us some news off camera, man. I want you to. I don't know if it's too early to break the news to the best damn nation, man, but I think it might be interesting.
Yeah,
way too early.
No, we're gonna wait.
We ain't gonna talk about it right now.
Yeah, wait till we get the things in our grasp. Yeah. You gotta coordinate. You gotta coordinate.
We don't talk about Bruno too early. Yeah, we ain't talking about Bruno right now. All right, well, but Mr. Everything got some big news. So follow him on all his social medias so you can see what he got going on in this big announcement that we're gonna drop, you know what I'm saying, for the people. But now we got to go to the king of the meat freaks. Stephen Meeks, what you got going on, my brother?
Not a whole lot. We got a big show this weekend, United Pro Wrestling in Raleigh, North Carolina. We got Love and War. Me and my best friend on the planet Earth, Grant Watts, are gonna. I think he's finally come around to loving people through wrestling. All right, it took him a while. He kind of was standoffish with Stephen Meeks at first, but watch. I mean, we got the W last time, so like this time, watch Love and War go into the match, with good vibes, and we are gonna prove that the top shooters ain't nothing. We're going to run right through them, and we're going to prove that Trey Derula shoots blanks. You feel me?
Shots fired!
Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Trey Derula? So, anyways, yeah. So, yeah. And then we got the holidays coming in, which is awesome. I love holiday music. I love the Michael Bublé and all that crooner stuff, and remembering the reason for the season and loving people and yeah, I'm doing well. I'm super blessed.
Oh man, I love to hear that. Is this your first time really being in a tag team kind of setting, or? Yeah,
Grant Watts is kind of like my first real, this is like the first tag avenue. I want to invest more time and money into this because I think Grant and I and Love and War as a concept has some legs, and I think we complement each other really well. I mean, Grant Watts is pure heart Grant Watts. He's pure fire. He's just an ornery little feller, and I'm laid back, and we both love technical wrestling. So I think him and I are definitely going to do more stuff in the future with UPW and beyond.
Oh man, that's awesome. Could we ever see a possible tag team match with Stephen Meeks and Mr. Everything, Victor Andrews? Is that something that wets your whistle?
So since the last time that I've been on here, Victor Andrews and I have wrestled.
Yeah. Let's talk about that real quick.
Listen, I'm gonna peel back the curtain a little bit, and I'm gonna say, we had so much fun, and we just decided we had made up our minds that we were like, all right, you're gonna be Victor Andrews, and I'm gonna be Stephen Meeks, and we're gonna may the best man win and all that good stuff, and you can't beat experience and time in. So I'll wear my. I'll take my L respectfully. I learned a lot, and I had a lot of fun. So, Victor's still the freaking SCC champion or whatever. That's cool. That's fine. It is what it is. Is
it fine? Is it what it is?
Uncle Vic, it's okay. You got. But I wrestled Victor Andrews, and I lived. All right, and I didn't complain about it. All right, I said I had fun. Everybody else is scared of this man right here, But I would wrestle Victor any day of the week. I had a blast. Yeah, that was fun.
Well, listen, man, I didn't call you the mushroom madman for no reason. You know what I'm saying? He gets it in. Yeah. Oh man. Mr. Everything, talk about that match real quick that you had with Stephen Meeks, man. And do you see a possible opportunity for you guys to maybe tag one day in the ring?
Man, I'm a firm believer that everything is possible, which is why I am Mr. Everything. I do see that happening. And I can make that happen. And all we need is a tag team that's willing to step in the ring with us and to be able to combat what we have to offer. And I don't think there is many tag teams out there that can combat what we have to offer. I don't care if you're in the majors or in the minors or just getting started or have been doing it for a very long time or retired. There isn't a tag team that can really step in the ring with us and say, you know what? I was confident that I could beat them. No, they're going to come in like, I'm not too sure, and I'm going to give it all I got. I know all I got ain't enough. I'm going to need a little bit more. But daggone it, hopefully I'll live. Like Steve Meek said, when he got done, he said, I wrestled Victor Andrews and lived. And everybody else is like, man, I ain't doing that again. That's exactly how it's going to be if they step in there with Victor Andrews and Steven Meeks. Psychedelic everything, baby.
Everything is
Yeah,
psychedelic.
I don't like that. Yeah, psychedelic everything. I like that. Everything's psychedelic. You can go both ways.
I love it. I'll even say a name that if we're gonna make it happen, I want it to happen against the sports entertainment empire. I want it to happen against James Johnson and Drew Hood because those cats are tearing it up, and I got a little chip on my shoulder with James Johnson. So let's.
I tell you what, this is what I'm gonna do. I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm also watching the live on Facebook. So those that are watching on Facebook right now from the Best Damn Nation, make sure you drop your comments and everything. And check out this comment I'm getting ready to post in the chat right now. I'm getting ready to tag James Johnson and Drew Hood and tell them, if you want it, come get it.
Come get it. Rob, watch the DVR. Bro, rewind. Let's get it.
All right. Well, listen, that's going to be interesting, fellas, and I can't wait to see it. We got a special guest in the building. I want Mr. Everything to do the honors, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and children of all ages, I don't care if you have been in wrestling, been watching wrestling since 1922, or you've been watching this as of yesterday, you are going to know who this man is. You should know who this man is. This man is a legend. He does not get the credit that he so deserves. He is my brother, my family, one of the forefathers of Control Your Narrative, one of the best cruiserweights, one of the best technical wrestlers ever to step foot in the ring. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Austin Aries.
Yeah. What's going on, everybody?
What's up?
What's going on, my brother?
Not much, man.
What's going on here? We got a new look. What's happening?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I did a little bit of shave the other day. Every once in a while, hair's growing out a little bit, so kind of circa 2008, 2009 Austin Aries look here. So, I got the John Stamos thing going. I'm being told. So
look, when you first came on, I was like, wait, so we had Austin Aries, not John Stamos. But hey, it works. Hey, celebrity is a celebrity. It works, right?
Yeah, man.
How you
good. This is quite a full house here, guys. How's it going? A lot of people here.
Oh, pretty good, man. Pretty good. Oh, man, listen, we are happy to have you on here, my brother. It is an absolute pleasure to have a legend like yourself in the building, man. Let's go ahead and get started, man. So let's just start like nobody knows you. They're you're just being introduced for the first time, man.
Sure.
I think the first question that I want to ask is, when did you first fall in love with wrestling?
1982. Yeah, I was 4 years old. Up to that point in my life, I was really gravitating towards the Army, the military. My grandfathers had served, my uncles had served. I had all the G.I. Joe toys. And then one day I turned on the television on a Saturday morning and I saw AWA wrestling. I grew up in just outside of Milwaukee. So AWA wrestling. And man, from the moment I saw it, it grabbed me. And that was it. All the G.I. Joe toys went away. And I started collecting all the old Remco AWA action figures. And started really this, I called it my secret passion because, back then you didn't really tell people that you liked pro wrestling. It wasn't exactly cool, but yeah, man, that was it. From 82 on, pro wrestling was my thing. And, I grew up watching the Crockett era and the Horsemen and Dusty and 505 on TBS. Learned to hate the Atlanta Braves because they'd preempt the show sometimes Saturday nights, because they're baseball games. But yeah, that was really the beginning of the love affair.
Oh man, that's awesome. Let me ask you a question. Were your parents supportive of you pursuing wrestling as a career?
I left for college at 17, stood on my own 2 feet. Never really hid anything from my parents from that point on because I was paying my bills, taking care of myself and kind of my own man. And I was really lucky that they've always supported me in whatever. I've always been an outside the box kind of guy. If you asked me as a kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? I said, I don't know. I just don't want to be like anybody else around me because that life didn't seem like it was making anybody happy, man. So I've always kind of zigged when people zagged and kind of marched to the beat of my own drum, so to speak. And, I've been supportive that, my parents always supported me. They believed in me and just kind of let me do my thing.
That's awesome, man. Talk about you growing up in Milwaukee. I know that you are a big Bucks fan, and you also, like the Milwaukee teams like Green Bay and the Brewers, if I'm not mistaken. What does it mean to be from Milwaukee and to be one of the people that made it out of Milwaukee?
Growing up for me is just I call it the Midwest charm, right? You kind of have that middle class, blue collar type of growing up. And I grew up an athlete, growing up, the Packers was kind of a religion in my family on Sundays. I grew up a baseball player, went to college to play baseball as a center fielder and left-handed pitcher. Was way too tall for basketball, so I kind of gave that up. But that was a joke, but yeah, man. I just, once I had the opportunity, I knew I wanted to travel. I wanted to get out of the Midwest. I wanted to see the rest of the country. And when I did that, and that was after a couple of years of trying the college thing and realized it wasn't for me. And once I got out and started meeting people from other parts of the country that had different thoughts on, what life was like, it really just opened everything up for me. I realized, wow, like, there's so much opportunity in this life and we don't want to shortchange ourselves by boxing ourselves in anywhere. And so I remember this vision. I actually was thinking about this the other day. I was in Lake Havasu and I just got my tattoo. It was my 22nd birthday. We traded a guy a 2-foot bong. The guy I was traveling with, his company did custom blown glass pieces for different bands and things like that. So it was my birthday. And we met this guy who was a tattoo artist. This guy was like, hey, it's my bro's birthday, man. Like, we want to get him some ink. Like, what if I trade you this sick piece for it? And so, but the next day we were out on this boat on Lake Havasu. And I remember just sitting there, and actually my hair was kind of getting long at the time. And it was just like this aha moment of like, man, like there's so much out there, but you have to go out and explore it. You have to go experience it. If you sit in your cube all day and you can experience it through a screen, but that ain't the real thing, Yeah. And and that's what I just knew. Like, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I wanted to do something different than the people I've grown up around. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I felt like there was something different for me.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Listen,
quick,
go ahead, Mr. Green.
Okay, let's dive in. So, professional wrestling. Your first experience, what was that like stepping into a ring, training in that moment, and what was going through your mind as you was having that moment? Because a lot of professional wrestlers now, especially on the indies, when we had that first moment, we're like, either wow, I can't believe I'm doing this, or damn it, I can't believe I'm doing this.
Yeah.
So what was your moment? Was you like, wow, I can't believe I'm actually doing it, or damn it, I'm about to go home because I can't believe I'm trying to do this?
Well, so when I broke in 2000, so this predates social media. and Instagram and YouTube and all these things. So even Google search engines, all this. So you couldn't just find wrestling schools by going on the internet and looking it up. It was kind of, you had to know somebody who knew somebody or had a connection somewhere, right? It was a little more, I'll say protected, but in a way, right? They protected the business a little more than we do now. And so I was actually getting ready to move out to Lake Havasu. I was having a great time out there doing some extracurricular activities, and because I wanted to get out of Minnesota, where I'd been, after going to college there for a couple of years. And I had my car packed up and I was ready to move out. And a childhood friend of mine called up and told me he was training to be a pro wrestler up in Minneapolis. And I remember saying, I was like, what do you mean? Like, what, you go to like a wrestling college? Like kind of being a smart ass. He's like, well, no, there's a school up here with Eddie Sharkey, who I knew the name immediately because Eddie Sharkey trained the Road Warriors and Rick Rude and Barry Darsow and had a hand in a lot of those guys that broke out of the Midwest area. So I knew the name. And so I said, all right, man, I'm not saying I don't believe it, but I got to check this out for myself. So I drove up a couple hours and it was a small ring, 16-foot ring, low boy, set up in this little garage. And it was another trainer, Terry Fox, who was kind of the in-ring guy at the time. And it was in his garage. And I remember walking in, there's these two guys in the ring going through some drills. And like, it was just like my eyes were like, what? Like, this is a real thing. Like, holy shit. It was like, and there was like the clouds parted, like the light came down and shined. And I was like, and not to be too arrogant, but I was watching these guys for a couple minutes. I was like, man, I know I could do it better than those guys. Like, so I went to Terry and I said, hey, Terry, can I just get in the ring for just a minute just to see what it's like? He said, nope. Absolutely not. It's $3,000 and you got to sign a waiver. And I'm like, oh man, I got like $500 to my name at the time. Right. Mm-hmm. And I said, Terry, I got $500. I said, I'll give you half of it right now and I'll pay you every week until this is paid off. And he's looking at me. He's like, Terry, to give you Terry's like 5'9", like 220, kind of little belly and the mustache, the Horace Hogan, who, the little fat cheeks, great guy. And he looks at me, he squints, he goes, let me think about it for a minute. So he goes, he kind of like leaves me hanging there. About 30 minutes later, he's like, so you really want to do this, huh? I was like, Terry, I've never wanted to do anything more than this in my life. And he's just looking at me, he's looking me up and down, he goes, okay, you got yourself a deal. And I was like, what? So I went and asked my buddy, I was like, hey man, can I move up on your couch? And he's like, yeah, sure. And that was it. So instead of going to Lake Havasu, I drove up 2 hours to Minneapolis, plopped on my buddy's couch. I started giving plasma twice a week to make money. I started working temp jobs at 5 a.m. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, there was no GoFundMe. I had to go fund myself. I could just ask for handouts. But it didn't matter. I was getting to chase something I didn't think was even possible. Right. And so, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, I'd get there, I'd leave about 9 p.m. I was first one there, last one to leave, go work my job in the morning and just, a lot of us, I mean, at that age, I'm 22 at the time, fresh out of dropping out of college going, what am I going to do with my life? And a lot of people don't get lucky enough to find their calling, to find that thing that lights them up, right. That, people go, man, you put in so much work. You were really dedicated. And it never felt like work because the fact I got to go train these 3 days a week and do this, whatever else I had to do on the side to facilitate doing this, never felt like work. And that was it, man. I trained for about 6 months, had my first match, and then just started, spreading out, branching out over 4 years. There was no YouTube, you couldn't connect through the internet. You had to like actually drive to shows and network and give people VHS tapes you knew they'd never watch unless they were drunk after a show and they wanted to laugh at people, but that's how you got your name out there. It's how you did it.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that you did touch on that a lot of people don't realize. It's the hustle and bustle and all the extra stuff that you had to do to fund this opportunity to do it, like selling, like getting plasma and getting a little odds and ends jobs. Like everybody think that as soon as you become a professional wrestler, you're making millions and millions of dollars. But No, we're spending millions and millions of dollars to be able to do this crazy thing that we
Yeah.
do every week to entertain people. So that's very good. I appreciate you bringing that up. But really quick, before we move on, I know Brian has another question, and we're gonna let some of the other guys, introduce themselves and ask another question. What is going on with that picture behind you? Like, you got to tell me what.
Oh man. So I've had this picture. This picture was in my attic when I was growing up as a kid, and my uncle was an art teacher, and he painted this. And I took this off to college with me, and this is one of the few things it's been with me ever since. I had it reframed a number of years back, and it's just a cool piece, man. And it's from the family and staying in the family. And so I just wherever I go, this picture is always the piece that gets put up first. Yeah,
absolutely. And, it reminds me of before you actually pulled it up, I was thinking the crypt that they kept Jesus in, and they pulled the rock back. Stephen will attest to this. When they pulled the rock back, and that's all you saw was that empty cave that he walked out of. So that's what grabbed my attention. But I love it. I love the whole family aspect of it and the history.
Man, thank you,
Brian. What you got?
Oh man, let's talk about your time in Ring of Honor, man. Let's talk about that experience of the Ring of Honor, the different types of Ring of Honors that you've been a part of, right? The different regimes. Can we talk about that real quick? Your time in Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I remember one day a friend of mine, Eric, we were always the guys that were working together in the ring, and he sent me this press release about this new promotion starting up called Ring of Honor and what they were going to be about. And I remember writing him back like, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. But that was the place to go, right? That's where, like, once Vince bought WCW, there was a vacuum, and something had to fill the void, and Ring of Honor was the thing that kind of filled that void. The indies, and now with tape trading and diehard wrestling fans could start watching different stuff from different places. And, Ring of Honor, that was basically how their business model started. They were a tape trading company, right? And they realized pretty soon, instead of grabbing all these, footage from other companies, they could just start their own and sell their own footage, right? And sell their own DVDs. And that was really the idea. And it was to grab the best local independent guys from all the different local areas and bring them into one promotion. So, you get to a point, and I tell all these wrestlers that have aspirations of making it to the big time, you're going to get to a point where you're the best guy in your area, in your little region. And now you're the guy that all the other guys are working to get better. But that's when you need to leave. And that's when you need to go somewhere else. And so for me, having the opportunity to get in the ring with the CM Punks and the Bryan Danielsons and the Samoa Joes and all these guys that were the best guys from their area were all now converging here to Ring of Honor. That's where you get to test yourself and you start to really grow as a performer and to kind of see where you're at. And now I'm getting in the ring with guys better than me that I can learn from, after being maybe the guy that was in the other position. So, had the opportunity to break in there, and, drove like 16 hours out in a van full of guys for my do or die match. Did basically every move I could think of that I had in my arsenal at the time, because I, didn't know how to work it yet. I just knew how to do stuff. But my stuff was so cool that they wanted to bring me back. And and so I moved out to Philadelphia. And this is something else I tell people. I've moved probably 30 times in my life. I go to where the opportunity is. I'm going to go to the opportunity. I'm not going to wait for the opportunity to come to me. So once I knew, and Gabe Sapolsky told me he was interested in using me, I said, let me make it easy for you. And I'm just going to move out to Philadelphia, East Coast. So it's going to reduce my travel, reduce expenses, and just make me right there. And eventually that, I think, helped lead me to running the Ring of Honor school a couple years later, because I was there. I was right there. So, but yeah, you had the Gabe Sapolsky Ring of Honor, which was kind of the original, iteration of it. And always grateful for Gabe to put me in the position he did, to give me the opportunity to, get in the ring with Samoa Joe at Final Battle. Winning the ROH title at that time really put my name on the map. Thanks to everything Joe had done before that, it really thrust me into the spotlight. And that could have been anybody. That could have been Alex Shelley. That could have been Roderick Strong. That could have been any number of 12 guys, 15 guys on the roster deserved that spot. I was grateful enough to get the opportunity. And so for that, I was extremely loyal to Gabe and to Ring of Honor. And so when Gabe was let go, it was really difficult for me, because I was really, I was in the office a lot, spent a lot of time with him. I was loyal to him for the opportunity he'd given me. And, there was a bit of a regime change. And with that, came a little bit of friction. People are trying to take control. Different people are trying to work their way in. Jim Cornette ends up in there. Adam Pearce is in control for a while. There was this weird transition part where I was asked to be kind of a locker room leader, but nobody was really told that I was a locker room leader. And I wasn't given the information to be a locker room leader. And it was just, it was trying to figure these things out as all these moving pieces. And, I was at odds with some of the things that were changing with the new management, the general manager who didn't have any connections to wrestling. And so it did lead to a little bit of some issues after the Gabe regime, bringing in Jim Cornette. And so, I'm sure everyone here's, heard Jim Cornette's opinions on me. But it was a difficult time, transition for the company, myself personally, and things were changing. And because it had to change, because Ring of Honor's original concept was everyone go out there and try to have the best match of the night, and the cream will rise to the top. And when you don't have a roster, that's a good way to build a roster. But once you have a roster, now we need to work together as a team, right? It's like a baseball team. If everyone's going up there swinging for the fences and nobody's trying to take a walk or get on base for the guys behind them, it's maybe not the most efficient way to have a team. And I think pro wrestling's the same way. We want to build a card. We want to make sure that we're being respectful to the people after us, to other people before us, not doing the same things. And so the philosophy changed a little bit, I think, for the better when Adam got in there, because now that we had a crew and we were kind of a big family, let's not work against each other because we have so many talented guys and women in there. We could all go out there and steal the show any night. I can loop false finishes for 30 minutes any night I want once you know the formula. So that's not magic. So it's about understanding your role on the card for that night and delivering in that role. Because if you're the main event, you don't want the guy that's going on second or third to be taking all the things that you want to use later for that epic main event, right? So I think that's sometimes where we get in the indies a lot. We're all kind of being a little selfish, and we have to be a little selfish in this industry. But I think once you have a roster, that's when you can start working together, building cards collectively, and making sure that we're putting on the best show that we can for the fans.
What do you think about this new Ring of Honor product under the directive of Tony Khan and AEW? Do you like the way that Ring of Honor is being treated? And you mentioned Jim Cornette. He has some. A lot of people have some things to say about this new Ring of Honor and what they think about it, and if it's growing or if it's a money pit. You know what I'm saying? Right. In a lot of ways. What do you feel about this new Ring of Honor product that you're seeing?
Well, I'll have to be honest. I don't really watch a lot of wrestling anymore, and I really haven't for a number of years. Like, it's somewhere along the way, and I know this might hurt some people's feelings. I apologize. But I kind of fell out of love with wrestling as a fan. It became my job. Right. It became my job, and you start to watch it differently. Right. So the fandom kind of disappeared. And so I don't keep up. It's not something I do in my spare time or watch. I keep up enough to be educated. I've caught some things here and there that have interested me, watched a few things. But I would just say that really, if you look at the current style of wrestling, that's Ring of Honor. In every company, in every promotion, this attention to motion and maybe forgetting about emotion, but we're focused on the motion, the move, the spot. That's what we ushered in. Sorry, guys. We kind of messed it up a little bit. We didn't know what we were doing. We were just stealing the Super Junior stuff that we were seeing on tapes from Japan and then doing it over here for the first time. Everyone thought it was new, but it was stuff that Dynamite Kid and Tiger Mask have been doing for 10, 15 years at that point, right? But we hadn't seen it in the States yet because everything here was big heavyweight style. So now you get guys that are starting to do what we'll call work rate nowadays, right? And so the influence of Ring of Honor from the original Ring of Honor is what we see in wrestling today. And it is what's on TV, no matter what promotion you watch. If you go and you watch early Ring of Honor, that's what's translated. So I haven't watched enough of the new Ring of Honor to be able to compare it to anything else. Do I think it's a money pit? I don't know. I think from what I've gathered, Tony got a really good deal on the sale of Ring of Honor, and with that, he got a lot of footage of a lot of people who have made a lot of money in this business. So I'm sure, Tony's a pretty smart businessman, and even if Ring of Honor's not turning a profit from events or things of that sort, I would like to think that the video library in and of itself is so extremely valuable. Along those lines, I have almost a DVD of every show I was ever on for like 6, 7, 8 years. I have like a collection of like a couple hundred DVDs, a lot of them still in their plastic, and I'm getting ready to put them up for sale. And I think, what a great collector's item for people who really want the history of Ring of Honor. You look at the names that were on there, and for me, it's sitting in my storage unit, and I would much rather find a home for it to someone who would really, really appreciate it. And so, probably sometime in 24, we'll put some kind of auction up or offer this up by personal collection for sale. I think it'd be pretty cool.
That's awesome, man. You faced a lot of competitors during your time in Ring of Honor. Who do you see as one of your favorite matches, in the Ring of Honor during that time?
I think one of my favorite, and I'll just even extend it to one of my favorite programs, was with Jimmy Jacobs. And for a lot of my tenure in Ring of Honor, I was the good match guy, the wrestling machine. I didn't really bite into a lot of storyline outside of great matches, And so with the Jimmy Jacobs feud, I got to start really layering some storyline. And we had, a dog collar match that I loved. It finished in an I Quit match, which I hadn't really done those type of matches before. So it was something different for me. Working with Jimmy was a different psychology. It wasn't about our spots. It was about the emotion, not the motion. And it helped me grow as a performer and as an actor, which is what we are. We're actors, right? And so it allowed me to tap into that a little more and the emotion, which I hadn't done. So that was one of my favorite programs, obviously, listen, any match with Bryan Danielson or Samoa Joe or, these guys, of course, they're going to be great matches. Of course, they're memorable. Those are guys that are, elite talent, right? So, but that Jimmy Jacobs feud to me was something that stuck out as different, that really elevated me in a different way.
Awesome. I'd love to hear that. Let me ask you another question, man. You are one of the first, if not the first, Grand Slam champion in Impact Wrestling and TNA history. Let's talk about your time in Impact Wrestling. What was that like being on the early cusp of Impact Wrestling at that time with TNA?
Yeah, TNA. Very interesting transitioning from Ring of Honor, where I was, positioned as a top guy, and then going to TNA and feeling like they were kind of pigeonholing me as a cruiserweight and reducing my money that I had been making to kind of put me at the same tier as the guys in that division. And I didn't accept it very well, and it led to some friction there. I felt I was capable to be running with the AJ Styles and the Christopher Daniels and Samoa Joe, which at the time they were doing those 3-way matches, which were lighting the house on fire. And I thought there was some natural storylines with my history with Joe that, they could have given me the opportunity to bring me in there. And we just had a disagreement in that. And it also was my first taste of what was a more corporate setting of wrestling, as they were kind of trying to be like poor man's WWE in the way they did their business, the way they treated their talent. And, if I wanted a corporate job, I would have gotten to any business other than pro wrestling. If I wanted to be if I wanted to be owned, if I wanted to be told, what to say, how to dress, how to act, it's not me, man. It's not me. So, there was an adjustment period there, and maybe at the time didn't adjust as well as I would have liked to. And also just kind of had to put my foot down. And I think sometimes in this business, man, you have to stick up for yourself. If not, sometimes guys get walked over. I always have a joke with Jerry Lynn, and Jerry Lynn is known as the nicest man in pro wrestling ever. Everybody loves Jerry Lynn. And I said, Jerry, you know what? Jerry, if you had a little more Austin Aries in you and Austin Aries had a little more Jerry Lynn in him, we both would have made a lot more money. you know, because Jerry was a guy who maybe, you know, if he would have stood up for himself and maybe said no a little more and wasn't as nice, he had all the talent, he had all the tools. This guy was amazing, right? But in this business, you will get chewed up and spit out, and you will get walked on if you don't stand up for yourself sometimes, you know, and that doesn't always, you know, that can make you difficult to work with, you know. So be it. I'll say though is that when I came back after kind of leaving there, you know, that's what led to my world title win, and subsequent title wins after that. And I often wonder if I hadn't been a pain in the ass and kind of put my foot down and fought for myself, would that have ever happened? I don't know, you know. So it was a great learning experience. It was now really doing television wrestling, which was different than what I had been doing. And I was getting to work with now guys that, you know, had been to the dance, had been to WWE, some real big name guys. And, you know, it was a great learning experience and a lot of fun. And I'm excited that they're bringing TNA back. There's a lot of history there. And, you know, who knows? Maybe that opens the door for Austin Aries' return.
I would love that, sir.
That would be
Yeah.
that would be awesome. Real quick question. You mentioned that you had to go through a lot of changes, you know, and then I can understand that as a professional wrestler myself. From your start in 2000 to now, what would you say was the most difficult change that you had to go through in terms of different locker rooms that you've been in, from the big leagues to the independents? Like, what would be the biggest change that you had to go through personally as for yourself?
Well, I mean, the biggest change for me wrestling wise was, you know, going to WWE, that schedule was unlike anything I had done. You know, with the TNA schedule, we would film over a weekend. You know, we would do maybe 2 or 3 days and film TV. And then I'd be off for a couple of weeks or maybe have some indie shows. So I had a lot more time at home during the week to train and to eat right and things like that. When you get to WWE, you're on the road all week. And then you might, you know, I was home for like 36 hours every week. And then I was back on the road. That was a difficult adjustment because I used to like take a couple days off from training when I filmed TV and then work my ass off during the week. And now with WWE, you got to work out on the road. You got to eat on the road. You know, you got to do everything on the road. And then when you're home, you're just literally there to recharge to go do it again. And, you know, went from NXT to getting hurt and then going to commentary to the main roster. I never really settled into a routine. And that's, I think for me, I gained just another level of respect for the guys and the girls that have been able to do that and sustain that lifestyle for decades, you know, and these guys like the Seth Rollins and the Kevin Owens and these guys that have been on top for a while. Obviously the John Cena's, Roman Reigns, like the schedule alone, you know, is unlike anything else in probably most sports or entertainment. So that was an adjustment for me for sure.
So in terms of
good.
Okay. So in terms of the rigorous schedule, and we talk about this all the time, and some of the guys kind of give us heat about it. When you see guys like Roman Reigns or like John Cena when he was there in The Rock, and it would take these longevity times off of TV with the championship, even Brock Lesnar would take all these times off. How do you feel in terms of like, do you feel like that's what they needed because of the rigorous schedule, right? Like you would say, like, because they're taking these times off of TV, probably to revamp a new storyline, probably revamp a new character when, you know, John Cena would go from the Thugonomics to, you know, what he went to after that. Would you attest to that? Is because of the rigorous schedule that they have to have all the time to the point where they got into the championship, they're like, okay, I need some time off?
I think it's that. I think it's also just a good business decision, right? It's like, you know, you guys follow the NBA, you know, the big discussion is load management, right? You want to sit your stars to keep them healthy for the stuff that really matters. And so, you know, once these guys have kind of earned their stripes, and now that these guys are a real valuable asset to the company, do we want to kind of run that asset into the ground all week when we really need them for SummerSlam? We really need them for WrestleMania. We really need them for the Royal Rumble. We really need them for Monday Night Raw. But if I send them on the road all week to Spokane and to here to there, you know, there's a point where that's not a good business move. because this is my most valuable asset, and I want to make sure that I'm getting the most out of my valuable assets. So really, we all got to do the grind. And then, those guys that get to have those kind of schedules, it's because they earned it. It's because they did the grind until they got to that level to where like, okay, we're going to protect you now as one of our top assets. Now we only need you here. And again, back in the day, I might see Ric Flair on television every Saturday night, but I never saw him wrestle on Saturday night. Mm-hmm. You hardly ever saw the champ wrestle on television. So I think there's something to that. You overexpose a guy, it's not special. If I see him every week, it's not special. So I think there's, creatively it makes sense. And from a business point, it makes a lot of sense.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Let me ask you a question. Out of all the companies that you've worked for, mm-hmm. who do you feel like treated the character Austin Aries like the superstar that you feel like?
Listen, TNA put their title on me multiple times. Ring of Honor put their title on me multiple times. That helped kind of establish me as a top guy. And listen, at the end of the day, it's not real. And when I say it's not real, just because I'm, as I said earlier, there's a dozen guys that are at the same level as far as a performer that we could make the champion, that could be the champion, right? So, are we superstars? Are we this big deal? We're in this bubble, this made up bubble that's not real, right? It's fictitious land, but yet somehow we walk around like it's reality. And it's, I've had a kind of a bit of an awakening the last few years as I kind of stepped out of the wrestling bubble for the first time in my adult life, and I completely disconnected from it. And I had to figure out who Daniel was, right? Ooh. Not Austin Aries. You got to think at 22 years old, who knows who they are as a person? We're still trying to figure that out. Now you get in this world where you get to take on this persona, and right, you get to play this character, and then you start getting notoriety and making money and fame, and now you start really believing it. I'm Austin Aries. I'm the champion of this. I'm Austin Aries. I'm a world champion. I'm a superstar. Man, are you? Are you really? Right? So, right. Me stepping away from wrestling a few years ago was like my first opportunity to go, wait a second. If or when all that goes away, who's Daniel? Right? Who's that guy? What's that guy about? What motivates that guy? What lights that guy up? What's important to that guy? And it's allowed me to see wrestling in a much different light, which has been very helpful as I've returned to this, to do it a little differently and put things in a little better perspective. So, at the end of the day, I've been very grateful for the opportunities I've been given. And, most of the companies, I've been very grateful that most of the companies that I've been a part of have all treated me very well and given me opportunities to be valuable for that company. And that's really what it's about. Where can I bring value? How can I be most valuable for my team? Is it sitting on the bench and being a good cheerleader? There's guys like that too sometimes, that 12th guy on the bench. Milwaukee Bucks, they got Giannis's brother Thanasis sitting there in the last bench seat. Why? Because he's great in the locker room. He's great for their superstar. He's not out there to put up 20 points and 10 rebounds. So I think it's about understanding, like, there's different ways to be valuable to the team. It doesn't always have to be as the guy getting his arm raised in the main event. That's the spot we all want to get to, sure. But there's so many other places we can be valuable in this business. So, just figure out where your value is and focus on the value, and everything else will come, I believe.
And to that comment, everyone wants to get to the main event and have their hand raised and be the guy. Not everyone has the ability to sustain that level to being the guy. Like, we can all get there, like you said, we can all get there, but can you continue to be that guy? Because there's always someone that's either better or is just as good, but has something different to offer. So in the times of your career from different companies, outside of being the technician that you are, one of the greatest wrestlers out there, what more did you see that you had to offer instead of being the guy that can get in the ring with anybody?
Well, no, but I think that is the best thing you can offer is a guy who can get in the ring with anybody. And I think one thing that I prided myself on is you can put me in the opener and I can give you that X Division fast cruiserweight style match. You can put me in the main event with a guy that's 100 pounds bigger than me, and I can give you a match that feels like a main event feel match. I can do a comedy match. I can do a bloody match, I quit match. I always prided myself on having range as a performer and not, I can only do this. I can only do tag wrestling. I can only do comedy. I can only do flips and hurricanranas. When I was training, I don't think I realized yet how small I was in the business, but I just remember not wanting to learn leg scissors takeovers or hurricanranas because I was like, I don't want to be pigeonholed as a cruiserweight. Like, I'm a wrestler, right? And so the guys I watched, the Dynamite Kids and the Chris Benoits and the Chris Jerichos and the Eddie Guerreros, yeah, they weren't the biggest guys, but goddamn, they worked like they were. And so those were the influences on me to say, well, that's what I want to be like too. I want to be like, because all I have to do as a performer in this business when I step in the ring is I have to create just a little bit of doubt or a little bit of belief, right? What I mean by that is if I step in the ring with Samoa Joe, they're going to look, and for just a moment, I have to make them believe, he's not the biggest guy, but I don't know, man. Like, look at that look in his eyes. Look at that explosiveness, right? I think I whipped that guy's ass, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure I want to try him. That's all you got to do. And it's just about the way you carry yourself. It's about the energy you carry yourself with. It's about presence. It's one thing I try to tell guys. It's about anything else than having a presence and the way you carry yourself, And so if you want to be a top guy and you want to be a guy that is believable to step in the ring with a guy that's much larger than you or better than you or faster than you or more technical than you, then you have to find something in you that makes the people believe for just a little bit. I think that guy can do it, And so that's what I always tried to do, make them believe just a minute. Yeah, he's not the biggest guy, but I don't think I'd fuck with him. Excuse my language.
Oh, no, you're fine, man.
Oh,
You're good.
Good.
I got a question about, it seems like you've really made some lifestyle choices. For your mental health, for your physical health. I know one of the things that you are known for, you are the vegan vigilante in a lot of ways. You know what I'm saying? Talk about veganism real quick and how turning vegan changed some things in your life.
Yeah, man. We said really quickly, if you know me, that's not a quick.
Nah, go ahead, bro. Take your time.
So when people hear veganism, they think it's a diet choice, right? They think veganism is about not eating certain foods. And veganism really at its core is about the choice of every living being that we meet, every living entity, sentient being that feels, that thinks, that has a thought, has an emotion. When we come in contact with it, we have the opportunity to do one of two things. We can bring it pleasure or we can bring it pain, right? We can add to its joy or to its suffering. So veganism at its core is just a decision that I made that I don't want to be contributing to the suffering, to the abuse, and to the slaughter of other living creatures that think and feel like I do. And animals think and feel like I do. And I wouldn't want to abuse and slaughter my dog. Why then is it okay if it's instead of a DOG, it's a PIG? It's okay to contribute to the abuse and the slaughter of a pig. Because it tastes good? It doesn't really taste good. If meat tasted good, we just boil it in water and eat it, right? But we don't. We spice it, we sauce it, we rub it, right? Like, it's the flavors we put on the meat. So the meat, and then again, it's not about a necessity then. That's just a choice for your taste buds, because I'm living proof you don't need to eat animals to survive. I haven't had an animal in over 20 years, 23 years now. No animals. I haven't died yet. I haven't withered away. I haven't, had protein and malnutrition, deficiency. So, but veganism isn't about the diet. It's about going through my life, consciously making a decision and being aware of what I'm contributing to in this world and saying, you know what, I can do better. And I don't want to contribute to the suffering of other things that feel pain. Now, by proxy, that means I don't eat them because that's what we do in this society, right? But I even go a step further. You say, how does that help me? Well, the old adage is you are what you eat, right? We've all heard that phrase. Mm-hmm. So we all agree, like everything's made of energy, right? And emotion is energy, right? And you can feel the difference of energies like anger and fear and sadness and depression and stress. Like those are very dense, heavy energies. And then like joy and happiness and laughter and love. Those are these high vibrational energies up here, right? Mm-hmm. Well, now you are what you eat. Now think of the life of that animal, that short life of that animal is spent here. It's in fear, terror, stress, anger. It knows what's going to happen to it. It's being led to slaughter. It knows what's happening around it. So that energy, that low vibrational dense energy is trapped in that being, gets slaughtered, and now you eat that as nourishment. So you are what you eat. You're eating low vibrational energy. Fruit, high vibrational energy. It's the direct transfer from the sun. Drops, offers itself up. Nothing had to die. You eat the flesh, you spit the seed, and more fruit grows. I really believe after 20 years of really intensely looking into all these different things, we're meant to be fruit eaters, man. You know, we don't look like lions and tigers. We look like gorillas. Gorillas are frugivores. There's nothing about our skills that say we're carnivores, hunters. If I put you in the middle of a field and it's just your hands and your feet, you have no weapons, you have no tools, you've got no fire. It's just what I put you naked, drop you naked, and you got to eat. What are you equipped? What are you equipped to eat? Think about it. So you're in this field. There's rabbits and there's all these animals. There's fruit and berries and bananas and there's. So now you got to eat. Well, what do we have? What are we going to eat? Are you going to go catch a rabbit barehanded, sink your teeth into it, and eat it raw? Because that's what carnivores do.
Depends on how hungry I am.
Right, but let me ask you this: if you see some, I was going to say watermelons. If you see some watermelons, see some bananas, see some berries, or you're going to chase a rabbit around. What sounds more appetizing? Breaking open a watermelon and eating that, or grabbing a rabbit, ripping its fur off and eating it raw? Like what sounds tasty?
Definitely the water.
I don't know, man. I'm from the country. I've had some good ass rabbit stew before, so you know.
Yeah. But Brian, you said rabbit stew, which means it was cooked, which means it was spiced, which means you had all these other flavors in it. I'm talking about catching a rabbit with your bare hands, sinking your teeth into its jugular to kill it. And then eating it, ripping this fur off and eating it, because that's what carnivores do, bro.
Mm-hmm. I got your point.
The funny thing is, if there's any creatures that we're equipped to catch and eat, it's bugs. And I know everyone freaks out, and I'm not saying we should eat bugs. You know, I'm not about that. But if you think about it, we can catch ants, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I always go back to the law of nature because we can go back and forth about studies and statistics, and we know at this point I can make a study tell me anything I want it to tell me, right? Whatever studies, you show me one, I'll show you the opposite. So I always go back to like nature because nature doesn't lie. So I talk about milk like this. You know, we've been told milk's this perfect food. Is there any other animal on the planet that drinks milk after it's a baby? Milk's for babies, guys. Milk is designed for babies. Every species mother makes milk for their baby. And then once the baby is old enough to eat food, they stop drinking milk. Except one species decides to keep drinking milk its entire life. And then it's not even its own milk. They go and drink the milk of another animal altogether. And that's humans. And we wonder why we have cancer and disease. You're drinking growth hormone for cows as an adult. If milk was the perfect food. You don't think some other animal in this world would have figured it out and would still be consuming milk as an adult? We're just so smart. We're so smart, but we're the only species riddled with depression, anxiety, fear, obesity, heart disease, cancer. But we're the smartest ones. We're the smartest ones because we figured out Fruit Loops is what we're supposed to eat, right? I mean, guys, again, it's to me, it's so fucking clear. I think if you want to keep humans in this low vibrational state, you want to keep them infighting, you want to keep them slaughtering each other. Well, the easiest way to do it is feed them death every day and convince them it's good for them. Look around the world, man. We're supposed to be living in harmony with nature. Yeah, we're the top of the food chain, but we're supposed to be living in harmony with nature. Every other animal lives in harmony. Yes, there's killing, there's a food chain. But no other animal ever kills more animals than it could possibly eat. No other animals kill for fun, right? That's us. There's no like gorilla in nature that stockpiles. He's stockpiling bananas behind him, right? He's just piling up bananas, more bananas than he could ever eat in a lifetime. Just piling bananas, huge pile of bananas, and just guarding his bananas. And any other gorilla that gets close to his pile of bananas that he'll never eat all the bananas, but he will not give any of these bananas. He's guarding them with his life, right? If we found a gorilla like that in nature, we would want to study it and go, well, what's wrong with it? That's an anomaly. That's weird, right? But if a human does that with money, we put him on Time magazine and we call him Man of the Year. We're greedy. We're greedy as fuck. Look around, it's greed, right? We don't. All animals in nature. I watched it. It's funny. My aunt likes to feed the squirrels peanuts, and the crows figured it out. So now the crows start hanging out because they want some peanuts too. And I watched this man handful or two handfuls of peanuts. They don't fight over the peanuts. They each kind of take what they need. They leave two different species. They're sitting. I'm watching squirrels and crows just hanging out next to each other, and they're cool because they're like, I got my peanuts over here. You take a couple over there, and they're good. But if that was humans, they'd be beating the shit out of each other to take all the peanuts for themselves. Call it Black Friday, right? Yeah. So yeah, man, I go through life and so. To answer your question, to finish answering your question, what did that do for me? It made me take a real hard look at the things that I was taught and told as a kid and realize that my whole life has been a lie built on top of lies, built on top of lies, built on top of lies. How far back the lies go, I don't know. But what I do know is the things that we've been told now is not the truth. From our healthcare system to our education system to what we eat, all of it. It's a lie. It's all a fucking lie. And it's meant to divide us. It's meant to dehumanize us and disconnect us from our true power as humans, our source, our third eye. Connect to this, you know what I'm saying? To you call it source power, you call it God, call it whatever you want. We're powerful beings. But when you calcify the pineal gland, and when you convince us we're supposed to be eating decayed animals as our nutrition, when you convince people that that it's just business, right? That there's no amount good enough. There's no amount of money good enough. The house is never big enough. The car's never new enough or fast enough. They need a new pair of shoes, right? That's all conditioning, man. That shit's not real. And where's it gotten us? Are we in a happy society? Are we in a happy society? Are we in a happy world? We've been given everything we need here to be living in utopia. Think about it. When you go on vacation, when you think of paradise, what's paradise? It's the part of Earth that humans haven't fucked up yet. That we haven't raped and pillaged, that we haven't knocked all the trees down and built some Walmart, right? That's when we go on vacation, we go to escape all the shit we've done. We have all the resources on this planet where everyone could eat, everyone could have, everyone could be living comfortable, happy lives as communities. But somewhere along the way, certain people took control of the knowledge, and now they want to control the rest of the people by misinforming them and lying them. Again, how do a very few group of people control 8 billion? Anyway, absolutely. I digress, guys. Sorry.
No, you.
No. Hey, go ahead. I was gonna give you the platform to say whatever you want.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Hey, look, and that segues into my next question when you say control. Let's talk about control your narrative.
Yeah.
Where you and I met, had
man.
an opportunity to talk to you and get some advice from you. You was able to watch Mr. Everything, Victor Andrews, come the father of the narrative. Where was your mindset in terms of the direction of what you wanted out of control your narrative and all the guys that had that opportunity to come out there and work with you, EC3, Adam Scher, and a lot of some of the bigger top names?
Yeah, I mean, I just, it was an interesting concept, and I was just kind of following along. Again, I was down in Mexico for a year. I was kind of completely disconnected from wrestling, but I worked with EC3, obviously in TNA, and known him, always got along with him well. Was kind of following along with what he was doing, and when I got back here to Orlando area, I just kind of reached out and said, "Hey, man, I kind of dig what you're doing, and if there's anywhere you think I can bring some value, let me know. I'd be interested." I'm trying to kind of work my way back in a little bit, and it was a cool concept. I just think it was one of those where it was never really meant to be a promotion. I don't think it was more of an idea and a concept, and so it kind of. Then you get a bunch of cooks in the kitchen, and then people start seeing things, and everybody wants a piece of it, and everyone's going different directions, and you know how it is, man. It's it's wrestling business. Yeah. So listen, we caught lightning in the bottle. It was a good little run. We had a lot of fun, met a lot of cool people, did some good stuff. Those seminars that we were running, I thought we really were touching people. Really diving into their motivation and who they were as human beings, and not so much as pro wrestlers. And so I took a lot of value from that. And and I'll take a lot of credit for it completely failing, because once I got on board, the old canceled Austin Aries over here, man, when they announced that I was a part of it, like fucking trended on Twitter like 4 or 5 times that day. Everyone's like losing their mind. I was like, Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I guess I still move the needle, Guys, I haven't wrestled in 2 years. I still get more heat than anybody in the business. What the hell's going on? All because I don't want to listen to a bunch of strangers about shooting some experimental solution into my arm. I don't know. Everyone hates me for that. And, I don't know if you guys have kind of looked around, but I might have been right.
Yeah. I think you got a lot of flack on some of your views, man. And,
man.
And I think that's the reason why you had this, I wouldn't say reputation, but you were known to kind of rattle some cages backstage, and not always viewed favorably in the locker rooms. You know what I'm saying? But I see you now, and I'm listening to you talk, man. You have a really positive vibe and energy about you, and maybe there's been some change over the years. What do you want people to know about you as an individual, and then even your character, Austin Aries? What do you want people to see about who you are now?
Austin Aries is an asshole. Right. Austin Aries is a persona and is a character, right? Now, are there some parts of Austin Aries that come from Daniel? Sure. But, it's funny because you said what you said about the locker room is, as I've been back in these shows and doing independence and stuff, I haven't felt it. I read it and people read it, but when I'm actually there, it's the exact opposite. And Mr. Everything, your opinion, you shared locker rooms with me. You saw, I interacted, saw interactions. I never felt that coming from anybody. So I think, what we have to realize is Twitter's not real. Dirt sheets are dirt sheets. That's not real. It's not the truth, right? If it's coming on your screen, it's entertainment. And when you break down the word entertainment, entertain means control. Mente, mind. Entertainment, enter to control the mind. So we watch things, we read things, we hear things, and then we take from that and go, well, that must be true. That's reality. And it's just not. It's not reality. And so there's a lot of people that hate Austin Aries. And and for sometimes good reason, because for a lot of my career, that's what I was trying to invoke the emotion of you not liking me. I mean, that was, as a heel, my job is when I walk out the curtain, I don't want you to be indifferent. I want you to have a strong reaction. Either I love that motherfucker or fuck that guy. But anything in the middle doesn't make me money. And I think, you know, at least for me, it's been much harder in life to make everybody like me than it is to make everybody dislike me. And then when you see when you see the world differently, when you challenge the narrative, when you challenge conventional wisdom, when you say no, that's wrong, that does ruffle feathers, because now people start questioning their belief system. And now when you make people start questioning their belief system, that makes them uncomfortable. They start pushing back on you, right? And so, you know, I think there's a part of that. Now, that being said, I'm an emotional cat, man. I'm a passionate, emotional guy. That has worked in my favor and made me a very good performer. And sometimes that's worked against me in the back and dealing with the ups and downs of pro wrestling. Sometimes letting my emotion get the better of me, right? Sometimes let my passion get the better of me, and maybe not handling situations as diplomatically as I could have. But that's part of my growth process. You know, I'm not going to apologize for being fiery. I'm not going to apologize for being passionate. I'm not going to apologize for giving a fuck. Because that is, you ask, like, what do you want people to know about me? One of my favorite sayings is, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And one thing about me is I passionately care about what's happening around me, not just to me, but to the people around me too. And I don't want to change that because I think that's a beautiful quality to have, but it can get you in trouble sometimes. It can get you in trouble sometimes because, you know, this wrestling business hasn't always been run by the most upstanding, ethical, you know, people full of integrity. I think we can all, if we look back in the history, I think we can all agree on that this can be a seedy and a shady business. If I'm the guy who pushed back against that and said, no, that's not right. No, that's bullshit. Does that make me the bad guy? If I was saying, no, we shouldn't treat people like that. We shouldn't take advantage of people like that. We should pay for their health insurance. We should make sure they get a bed to sleep in tonight instead of packing 12 guys into a hotel room. Does that make me the bad guy? If you're the villain, if you're being positioned in the villain in an industry full of villains,
real villains, yeah.
Maybe it's because I pushed against it and said, "No, man, this shit ain't right. We need to do better." And now maybe I didn't always do it the right way. Maybe I wasn't always diplomatic, right? Maybe the passion got the best of me. Maybe the fire got the best of me. Absolutely, I'll own that. But you know, I think, you know, I'm not I think. I know at my core, like, Daniel is a good person. Genuinely cares about people, what's going on around him, wants to help people in the wrestling industry, wants to help people outside the wrestling industry. And will speak truth to power, will stand strong in the face of adversity, and will stand up for what he believes in, right or wrong, you know? And so with that, you know, you're going to make a lot of friends. You're going to make some enemies too. And you got to take the good with the bad.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Real quick question. You talk about in terms of helping people in the industry. Are you currently training anyone, or would you be open to doing any type of trainings, like running a school for yourself?
Right. I've read a couple schools. I don't know that I have interest in that, but a concept I have been developing and I haven't rolled out yet, but I might be doing next year is kind of doing more of an agency. I feel like there's really not much representation for wrestlers in the business. You've got Barry Bloom, you have Bill Behrens, and then that's really about it. And so I think that I could be more beneficial to take guys who've already been trained and more, you know, looking for guys that I think have real potential, guys and girls who have real potential that want to make money in the business, and saying, cool, let me put you under my agency. Let me help finish you. Let me help you in these areas to take you to the next level. Let me help use my contacts, my knowledge, my experience maybe be able to negotiate with promoters, because I'm not afraid to tell the guy, no, that's wrong. No, we're not going to do that. Right. It's a landmine, dude. You know, it's a landmine trying to navigate this and deal with promoters and money and this and that. And where do you get good training? And, you know, so that would interest me more than running a school, because running a school, the problem with the school is now I'm focused on, I got to get another student. Oh, I need more students. Only way I make money is I need more students. So now I'm running a fast food joint. More students. So now I'm more focused on more students than about helping the people I have. But in my concept, if I'm working off a percentage and you're my client, I'm focused on you making money, because when you make money, I make money. It's not about getting another client. It's about, I want Mr. Everything to get $1 million contract with WWE, because I'm going to get my 10% and then I get paid. And I think that's missing in wrestling. I think it's missing in wrestling. And I think that I'm a guy that's uniquely qualified to do it, because one thing is, everybody knows Austin Aries is a straight shooter, and you're not going to bullshit me. And I think that's good quality to have as far as trying to lead other people and try to help them navigate this world of pro wrestling.
So somebody hand me a pen real quick. I need a pen.
Yeah.
I like that. And I do appreciate you saying that. And really quick, I want to introduce you to our other guest that we have up here. Other co-hosts. We have Chef Showtime. He's our resident chef. He does all the cooking. He's amazing.
Oh man,
in terms of
sorry, bro. And sorry about my whole rant on food, man. It's all good.
You're good.
You're like, oh,
right
I'm rethinking my whole life choices. Chefs up there like, oh man, I gotta rethink my whole life choices right now. Like,
I can't cook bacon no more.
Animals aren't food. Everyone's like, is it so hard? Like, isn't it hard? I was like, is it hard not to eat your cat? But you get home, you're like, some barbecue sauce on that might be good.
I don't know. I've had some Chinese food that I looked at and I was like, I don't know if that's chicken or not. Hey, we also have fellow wrestler Stephen Meeks in the building. Stephen, do you have a question for our esteemed guest?
I've just been kind of taking notes and just enjoying the conversation.
This guy's getting a free seminar here, Steven.
Yeah. We met before actually at a CYN event in Goldsboro, North Carolina with Mr. Everything. And I was a big fit. Like, I had a very pleasant Austin Aries interaction, and I enjoyed my time in the CYN locker room, so I can attest to that. And
cool, man.
I just really resonated with your story, man. Coming from like kind of middle class living and just kind of not even really wanting better, but just wanting different. You know what I'm saying? I think that was really cool. I love the like you said, just free seminar. I think in like my short time, like I just really agree with your point of view, and like agree to the statement of like doing the drives, and like, you know, I'm far from being like the best in my area, but like I like to travel and learn from other people, and I think wrestling is kind of this weird like multiverse, and there's different flavors of ice cream regionally, you know, that are more over, and it's cool to like, you know, fortunately I've been able to go to wrestle in West Virginia and North Carolina and Colorado, and I've noticed like, you know, like the culture, there's cultural differences, and you know, like yada yada yada. But yeah, I like you said, I'm just here for the free seminar, and I'm thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah, man, for sure.
I have a question.
Yeah,
if you had one last match with anybody from the past or present, any type of match, who would it be?
It's a tough one. You know, my answer usually is it doesn't matter as long as Bobby Heenan is my manager.
Okay.
Yeah, because Heenan is one of my favorite performers. You know, very underrated, I think. Man, I'm one of those guys that doesn't have like a favorite anything. I mean, I could probably name like 10 guys if I could have, you know, Eddie Guerrero. That'd be awesome. But wrestling Mr. McMahon would be awesome too. Like, is there been a better character in the last, 30 years of wrestling than Mr. McMahon? Like, a better heel, right? You know, Ric Flair, I grew up watching the guy, right? I mean, I could give you so many answers, it's just, it's so hard to pick one, It is funny though. I was thinking it was something popped up on my phone about all the different final battles, and I was thinking, man, next year, 2024, it's gonna be 20 years since Final Battle 2004, and man, how cool would it be to do me and Samoa Joe Final Battle Ring of Honor 2024, 20 years after the fact, maybe for the title.
Nice.
I mean, I think there'd be some interest in that match.
Take my money.
Right? Yeah, well,
take my money now.
Listen, I don't know if Tony Khan's taking my telephone calls or not. So you guys got to do the work here. We need the fans to do the work. Yeah.
Got you. Well, in that same vein, you had a stint in WWE.
Yeah.
And you were in the cruiserweight division, and it was interesting to see your views on how to make the product that and team that you're with to be able to elevate them, right? You mentioned that a little bit earlier with the early Ring of Honor, maybe the X division, and then the cruiserweight division for WWE. What does it mean to kind of elevate a promotion and try to fight for something and fight for the guys in the locker room that you want to elevate and bring up when you might not be getting as many eyes as the other talent?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Can you
rephrase it? So for instance, you really advocated for bringing up like the cruiserweight division, right? Yeah. And wanted to have more eyes on what you guys were doing for the cruiserweight division at the time. Can you talk about that struggle of trying to convince the higher ups that, hey, we need more TV time so we can show what we can really do?
Yeah, well, so Brian, it wasn't me wanting to do that. I was basing it off of what they were telling us, right?
Okay.
And what they told us is, we want to do this 205 Live concept. We want it to be its own brand. We want it to be touring. We want it to be its own entity that can sell out, sell house shows and do this. Okay, great. If that's what you really want to do and you really mean that, well, then here's things that we can do that will help accomplish that. One of them is, hey, how about have some merchandise for the 205 Live guys? That would be helpful. How about don't put one of the best matches on WrestleMania on the pre-show? Not because I give a fuck, because I walked out in front of 70,000 people either way. But if you want to elevate the 205 Live brand, then putting our match on the main card does that. So it wasn't about me or it wasn't about Neville. It was about, if you want to elevate the brand, then put us in a place in the card that says, oh, this is valuable, because fans are smart, right?
Right.
If you put so where you put us positions on a card will matter to the fan. It will tell them how important we are or are not. Just little things like that, man. I thought intermingling more with some of the other we were doing the Raw shows. Well, why not? I had an idea of just like passing the hallway, like with Chris Jericho. And he looks at my silly fuzzy jacket, and he's got his dumb jacket on. We just like cross in the back. We just kind of stop and look at each other. And he's like, "Nice jacket, man." I'm like, "Yeah, you got a good jacket." And that's it. Yeah. Because oh my God, Chris, it's like we existed. Like it was like we were on Raw, but we existed in a different universe where none of the actual Raw stars on Raw ever saw us, or we never interacted with them. So I just thought it was like little things like that. If you want to do what you say you want to do, then here's things we can do. It wasn't about for me or me wanting to do it. I was happy to, hey, what do you guys want to do? Well, then here's how I think we can do that. Right. And just small things like that, Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. So look, what's next for Austin Aries, man? What's next for you in general? What are some of the projects and things that you're working on?
Oh man. Well, I did 3 months in India earlier this year, which was a great experience. Yeah, it was awesome. As far as wrestling, I'm not sure. It's so hard, man. Like what's going to happen in the world in the next year or two, right? Like I think 2024 could bring some things that are going to be a little unpleasant for us. We've had our bit of a reprieve in our break from 2020 shenanigans, and now I think they're ready to ramp up phase 2 of their plan, right? And so
talk about it.
So I think there's that. as far as just wrestling shows, let's see. January, I will be going back to Vancouver, up there for a show. I'm heading back to Utah in February, and I guess I could break the news here a little bit, but I'll be actually putting on my first wrestling show February 3rd in Florida. I will be co-promoting with someone else. It's called Pro Wrestling Resurrected. And I'm excited to kind of step on the other side of the curtain and try my hand. I've obviously had a lot of opinions over my years on the right way to do things. And so now here's my opportunity to try to do that. And, I'm just going to focus on putting on a good, solid night of pro wrestling entertainment. I'm not worried about, at least initially, I'm not worried about streaming. I'm not worried about, the internet fan base. I'm worried about putting on a great show for Crestview, Florida, and that market, and we'll go from there. And so that'll be February 3rd. So we'll be gearing up for that. And then I think we're going to be run shows like about every 6 weeks. I'd like to do, we have the first 3 locked in so we can do some storyline stuff and just kind of dip my toe in that, as I'm getting a little up there in age. I got to be a little mindful of the wear and tear on my body, and so starting to do some things behind the scenes interests me. It was a good opportunity. And so, getting excited for that, and then who knows, man? Who knows? I'm always looking for good opportunities. I'm really trying to find good indie promotions around the country, a good like half dozen that I can kind of be on a loop. I don't like doing one-offs. The money grabs. You go in, you make a bunch of money, and you don't come back for 3-4 years. It's fine, but I want to do something where I can actually work programs with some guys, help elevate guys, help teach some of the younger men and women in the locker room. And then actually like pass the torch to whoever their guy is as I'm on my way out the door. I think there's just more value in using me that way, and so that interests me. So